On this episode of Deleted WrestleZone, we're going to talk about the latest Impact Wrestling pay-per-view, Slammiversary, with great surprises that took place with appearances of various former WWE wrestlers who are now going to be with Impact Wrestling, but also going to give you guys some news updates regarding after the events of the Speaking Out movement. Joey Ryan decided to speak out. I'm going to explain more. And of course, No Way Jose has now revealed a brand new look. So all of that is coming up on this episode of Deleted WrestleZone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Welcome everybody to Deleted WrestleZone, all things pro wrestling from AEW, NXT, New Japan, Impact Wrestling, NWA, many promotions, matches, wrestlers, and championships. I am your host, J-Rod, so welcome to this episode. Now, the first thing we're going to talk about at this point is Impact Wrestling Slammiversary. Now, those who are not Impact Wrestling fans, Slammiversary is their version of WrestleMania, so that's kind of like that. We've seen that with AEW with All In and all this and that. So basically, this is one of those big events that they have. Some great matches that they had, appearances from former WWE wrestlers that were recently released on April 15th, and people are not calling it Black Wednesday because it took place on a Wednesday. So we're gonna go from start to finish. That way you guys get a clear view of the entire whole thing that took place. Now, let's start with this awesome intro they had where they keep talking about the recent releases from WWE, and it's always been the speculation for a while now. We do know those who have been with WWE, those who haven't. I mean, those who've been with Impact who went to WWE, now they're going back to Impact, and there's those who never been to Impact, but they're actually going to be there for the first time. So that was a great intro. Now, the first match, it was an open challenge by the Rascals, Wentz and Dez and Wentz. We didn't know who it was. Now, the speculation of this open challenge by the Rascals, many thought it was the Good Brothers because we've seen the Good Brothers, what they are, and they're one of the best as well, and not only here, but in Japan. So that was one of the speculations that took place. But it turned out to be a familiar Impact Wrestling's history. They've been part of that history, the Motor City Machine Guns, one of the best, Alex Shelley and Chris Sabian. Now, if you guys are not fans of these guys, they're one of the best tag teams. They're like right up there on the top, and they've always been the best as a tag team, but also individually for the X Division Championship. I didn't expect this one to happen, but great match. I loved it. I enjoyed what the Motor City Machine Guns did, but of course they took the victory. And I'm not sure if where these guys are coming back to finally take the place. Now, if you've been aware, Alex Shelley recently was at WWE. He actually teamed up with, of course, Kushida, where they formed this Time Splinters. This was a tag team duo that they formed together in New Japan, but now looks like that maybe he's been released or something. I don't know. I'm trying to find out more information, but I'll let you guys know what's going on. But they took the victory on that one. The next match was the Gauntlet, no, the TNA World Championship match, Old School Rules. This was between Moose and Tommy Dreamer. Now, if you all recall, Moose has been going out running his mouth claiming he's the real world champion, that he beat Ken Shamrock, beat Hernandez, people who actually been with TNA, and those who have held the title, claiming that he won that title, but in reality he didn't. He's being all delusional. Tommy Dreamer's the same thing. He felt that he didn't beat anybody for that title. He just claims that he did. But let's see how this goes with how this went with Tommy. But this was old school rules, more of the ECW stuff. If you all recall Tommy Dreamer's um, time with ECW, so they call it the old school rules. That way they play, bring in the toys, chairs, garbage cans, trash can lids, everything. It was a brutal match, and of course, the entire time Moose was going out saying he is a wrestling god. Now, Don Callis kind of said him if Carl Gotch was still alive today, he would break him in half for saying that, because the true wrestling god, if you guys are well familiarized in the wrestling history and world, Carl Gotch is the true wrestling god. And I kind of agree, because Minoru Suzuki actually used one of his moves, for his finisher. But in the end, Moose won, and he still proclaims that he's the champion. But we'll see how this one goes. The next one we have is the Knockouts Gauntlet Match. This one had many women who were involved. It started out with Tasha Steelz and Kylie Ray. At certain points, Johnny Bravo showed up dressed up as Taya, and then Rosemary. It's still unclear what they're calling this. I don't know. I thought it was entertaining. But they had people from Taya Valkyrie, Tasha Steelz, Havoc, Susie, Madison Rain, Alicia, Nevaeh, Kara Hogan, and Rosemary, and Taya. It was a great match, but each one has been eliminated until we get to the last two. I wasn't sure who was gonna win this one. Like, I think a part of me was wishing it would be Kylie Ray, because she's now becoming a bigger star. I didn't get the chance to see much of the Chris Van Vliet interview that she did, but she did explain something about what was the reason of her leaving AEW in the first place, and deciding to go to Impact. So there's all of that. I'll see if I can put that on the description down below. But one by one, these women were taken out. But the winner of this was, of course, my wishful thinking, was Kylie Ray. So this was unbelievable to see. And she will face whoever was going to win between, what's her name? Between Jordan Grace and Deonna Purrazzo for the Knockouts Championship. Now, as soon as this match was over, we had an unexpected surprise from a former WWE superstar, and that person, I got kids, Heath Slater. Now, Heath Slater, it talks about how, he wants to reach the top, go to get the title, but he was interrupted by someone who feels he's invading his territory. That he's not going to permit him to go to the top without him doing something about it, and that's Rohit Raju. And Rohit was trying to prove a point, but apparently he's actually took him out completely. So it was crazy. I enjoyed it. I was glad that he was there. Now we can all go, he got kids. So it's a lot of fun. Now the next match we have is the X Division Championship between Chris Bay and Willie Mack. Now the entire time we did not see Johnny Swinger in there after what happened last Tuesday, where Swinger overheard Chris Bay saying things negative about him, even though Johnny Swinger always believed in him and all this other stuff. And Chris Bay, he's the kind of guy who believes in himself. He doesn't need people to believe in him. But he was just taking advantage of Johnny's kindness and friendship to get ahead of himself. That's something that we've seen, but this time we did not see. But much of this match, it was like Chris Bay was winning this one. Mac was trying to catch up, but in the end, we have a new X Division champion, and that is Chris Bay. So that is one title exchange that took place today, on that day. Then we go to the backstage. We see Rhino and Heath unite, but apparently they were Scott D'Amore showed up to congratulate him being there, but he doesn't have a job. Rhino told him he will take care of it and all this. Hopefully he can work. I'm thinking this is part of like the storyline. Like, okay, he signed with Impact and all this and that, and he's trying to get a job, but he's not getting it. But I think that's a bit of a work. I'm not sure. I don't know if Nico would agree with me on that. Then the next match is, of course, is the Impact World Tag Team titles. Now, as you know, the North has been very vocal about how they've been dominant. They are now been the longest reigning tag team champions in Impact, and nobody has been talking about them mostly. There was this one time, ever since they returned from Canada, they've been trying to have people talk about them, but some of the crew members were in fact in the backstage watching MMA fights of Ken Shamrock, and they felt they were being disrespected because they're not giving them the credit they deserve, and Ken Shamrock didn't like that they don't respect him, so they beat him up out of the nowhere, and then he teamed with Sammy Callahan, and their story became more of the frog and scorpion type, you know. So ooh, that's what they called him. Anyway, but it was interesting match. They seemed like they were cohesive, both Callahan and Ken Shamrock, until things got out of hand a little bit, where somehow the North were able to dupe them, trying to find a way to break them up, which is expected because, like Sammy always goes, he wants to be the one to take them out. He doesn't want someone else to do it. Sammy respects Shamrock, but he feels like he's not the dangerous man. He is. So basically, it's that. But in the end, the North took the victory. Post match, they still go on ranting about how no one is giving them the credit they deserve. That they have proven time and time again, over a year now, that they have been the dominant tag team ever in Impact Wrestling. But they forget, they piss off another team that have been the best than them, and that is, of course, the Motor City Machine Guns. So they challenged them this Tuesday for the Impact World Title. This is gonna be hot. Now, if you guys are not fans of the Motor City Machine Guns, you gotta watch it this Tuesday on Access TV. If you guys are from the East Coast, it's gonna start at 5. But if you're in the West Coast, it starts at 8. So, gotta watch it. So the next match, it's the Knockouts Championship match between Deonna Purrazzo and Jordynne Grace. Now, this has become a very dynamic match. Not because the way it is. You look at Jordynne Grace, a very powerhouse woman. We've seen how much of a powerhouse she's at. But in this case, Deonna Purrazzo is more of the technical expert. Basically, using tactical advantages, more like submission techniques. So basically, she's been using that in a way to outsmart Jordynne Grace. Now, that is a good combination for a match to have. You guys would agree. There's two different styles. It's the same thing we've seen with any type of match. Like if you look at guys like Timothy Thatcher, or the guys from Imperium, they're more technical about their wrist. Same thing with Zack Sabre Jr. He's technical too, the way he does things, and there's nothing wrong with that. But it's a great idea how it goes, you know. But in the end, Deonna Purrazzo took the victory, and it was surprisingly and shocking. But of course, it was expected somehow. I didn't think it was going to be that soon, but I feel, in my personal opinion, that it worked. So congratulations. So that's the second title exchange that took place. Now the next match was the Impact World Title. Now this title has been vacant for almost a month. We already had the 3 of the 4 opponents that were involved: Eddie Edwards, Ace Austin, and Trey. But there was a mystery opponent. No one knew who it was until we saw Rich Swann. So he was the biggest surprise. So he's back in the ring after been gone for 10 months or something. I don't know, from an injury took place last year. But I'm happy that he's back. And then out of nowhere, a surprise return of a former champion. And that champion was the nut brain Eric Young. He's back. It was a great match, but much of this match I saw that Trey wanted to obliterate Ace Austin for all the things he's done to him, involving his mother, um, sending Madman Fulton to take him out twice, all this and that. But Fulton almost could have cost Ace Austin an opportunity of the world title, because Ace Austin believed that it's inevitable that he will be the youngest world champion. But it was an elimination match. So the first person that was eliminated was Trey. Second was Eric Young, but Eric Young was eliminated by Rich Swann, so he was pissed to the bone. So basically, he was not a happy camper. How this he tried to take out Rich Swann while injuring the leg that put him out of action. And then the next person that was eliminated was, of course, Rich Swann, but this one was by Ace Austin. Then finally became Eddie Edwards and Ace Austin, and this was a brutal match. Basically, it took two moves for Eddie Edwards, make that three or so, to take out Ace Austin. It was a great, so he became the Impact World Champion. At the moment he celebrated, Madman Fulton came out to it, and both Ace and Eddie Fulton were about to take him out before and out of the blue, we just saw the Good Brothers. People have been expecting them for quite some time, and we just saw an alliance between both the Good Brothers and Eddie Edwards. Now, it's still unclear what is it, but I'm loving it. I'm loving that now they're aligning with themselves. So that means there's three Good Brothers. So, but I'm very happy how this turned out. But it did not end right there. It ended with a video screen of a familiar face, Ethan Carter III, or better known as EC3. So this is going to be one crazy time for Impact with him returning. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. Hope you guys love the pay-per-view. But let's move on to the next subject in this episode. Alright guys, this person, I know you guys probably don't want to hear his name. I can respect that. I understand. I met him only once. That was like 2 years ago. I'm referring to Joey Ryan. Now, some of you talk about Joey. It's like you can't believe all the stuff that he did. There were over a dozen allegations against him. No one's have heard from him or had any other statements. Joey did say that he's not going to dissect the whole thing. He's been saying that he's been going to therapy, getting himself some help, which is understandable that he's been doing that. But at the same time, he felt that he's being attacked on all angles because of the speaking out movement. Many women who work with him, or those who he thought were his friends, kind of turned on him. And recently, yesterday, out of the blue, Joey Ryan put out a hour-long video of himself talking about what happened, and he spoke out about every person who spoke out against him. Now, I cannot remember every name. Now, some of you saying this, you probably think, Joey Ryan's is full of crap. He's full of himself, and all the women who, if you guys ever watched this episode, you're probably saying he's nothing but a sleazeball, a scumbag. I understand how you feel, but sometimes we don't know if it's true or not. Now, we can take a woman's word because they have been targeted in things like this, because if you guys must know, I have taken martial arts in the past. My martial arts instructor has taught me many things about saying that women are the most highly targeted to be either raped or sexually assaulted. That's always been the case. I can understand that, because if I had a daughter, I would feel that knowing that I want my daughter to be safe. But I don't have any daughters, but that goes into my mind. If I do have a daughter, I want her to learn self-defense. But Joey explained this a lot. He did felt that people who were his friends, like the Bucks, Candace, none of them bothered to talk to him, like saying, he felt that they just rushed into judgment, believing that they should have contacted him, saying, is this true? And I can see where he's going with it, knowing like sometimes you want to hear it. Now, I'm gonna give you guys a little side story about myself. Um, Back in '05, I was in a relationship with this girl who was my second girlfriend. I was very much in love with her. And at some point in our relationship, which lasted 6 months, we made a decision to, you know, start having sexual intercourse. Now, I never wanted anybody to know about this because whatever was going on between me and her was between us, you know. And you probably got, for all you guys there who felt that way, you're that, yeah, I want to do the same thing. So no one was supposed to know. And me and her, we had some problems along the way. In like maybe in November of that year in '05, we took a break from each other. And then all of a sudden, my first girlfriend, who from high school, became friends with her, and she had a different agenda at some point, and she started telling all my friends, saying that I raped her, I did all this. But the one thing that I was grateful is that one of my friends, who I praise him, I thank him, he pulled my ex at the time to the side and asked her, "Did I rape her?" And she said no. And he was seeing she's being controlled. Now, the reason this happened to me was because my first girlfriend was jealous that I lost my virginity to her. I was 21 at the time. And the thing is this, I never talked about this with her back in high school, but she was spreading all those lies about me. And I'm praised that one friend actually believed in me. And that's something I can understand with Joey. He felt that nobody believed in him. And sometimes we need to find out if it's true or not. And in Joey's case, he felt that no one believed him because they believed one side of the story. There's a saying. There's two sides in every story in the same coin. So that's that. One side in Joey's coin is the women who claim that, you know, did all these despicable things about him. And then there's the other side. It's like, that's not exactly how I remember. That's what he's talking about. So no one actually bothered to hear this side. They just listened to this side. So that's how it is. So for me, for having that friend who believed in me, didn't believe that crap, I was thankful. And probably all of you guys asked me what happened to my exes. Well, my first girlfriend, nobody wanted to be friends with her anymore because she was lying. She's been manipulative. Heard that she moved to Oregon. Thank God. My second girlfriend, we broke up. It was a bad breakup. She tried to talk to me, but a part of me still loved her, but I still felt disappointed in her that she didn't do anything right. Knowing that I warned her about her, but she didn't do it. But that's the price she has to pay. Me, it took me like, what, 3 years to get over her, but I'm happy. I'm currently single right now. I haven't been in a relationship for almost 10 years, but I'm grateful that I'm better. I'm doing okay. I'm doing this with you guys. You know, it doesn't bother me. But the point is, with Joey, I understand where he's coming from. Sometimes we need that one friend who needs to hear this one side of the story, but he didn't have that. He said that Impact Wrestling fired him for not probable cause, and that sometimes we get that a lot with that whole thing. You know, sometimes there's been those cases. But in my opinion, I think for Joey, his wrestling career, in my opinion, is completely over. I feel now that many of people from promotions no longer trust him because of this, you know. And I even looked at the social media. Roxy, ROCK/C, her mom was talking what a piece of garbage Joey is talking about this, saying that Roxy's a liar. Alley Cat felt the same way. There were other people that felt, even some fans who used to follow Joey, they are saying, you know, he's full of it, that they don't believe a word he says, that he was trying to save himself. But there are those that say, okay, that makes perfect sense, because Joey showed on the video the evidence that of the messages that he had with various people, from Roxy, Alex Gracia, Ali Cat, and a few others. So basically, he was saying all of this, but right now he is trying to focus on himself. That's a good thing to hear from him. But at the same time, I don't know if there's any chance of him returning to the ring. I feel like right now his wrestling career is over. It's done, and it kind of ruined for him. But it is what it is. It happened. Sometimes we cannot turn the clock on that. All we can do is move forward with our own lives. So if you guys are interested in seeing that video, you can go on his YouTube page. All the videos he had in there are deleted, but there's that one video. I'm gonna try to put that on the description down below so you guys can see it. I think that's about it right now. So let's move on to the next subject that I really want to talk about. All right, the last thing we're going to talk about is the recent re-emergence and re-event of No Way Jose. If you guys are not familiarized with him, he's that one dude with the big curly hair from WWE where he does the conga line. He was amongst the few wrestlers that who were released on April 15th of this year, as people like to call it, Black Wednesday, because it was the most darkest time ever. No Jose didn't make a statement about what happened when they released them. Many wrestlers do that too. Many of them say they were shocked that they didn't notify them ahead of time. They just kind of like picked their names out of a hat or something. But it was still unclear what's going to happen to No Way Jose. But recently, he just re-emerged himself in a different look. He no longer has the curly hair. It's all straight. Has a little bit of pink lining on somewhere. And he got rid of the beard and all that. And but it started out with him watching that video of EC3. And it's still unclear where he's going to go. Now, do I think he's amongst those who are going to Impact? It's a possibility. Now, I'm not saying it's 100%, but it's a possibility. Don't count your chickens just yet. Now, I don't know what to make of it, but he looks more like becoming part of the dark side or something. I don't know. But if he does go to Impact, it'll be great. But if not, then it's still unclear where is he gonna go. The only promotions currently going on television is WWE, AEW, and Impact. I don't know if Impact are willing to take any wrestlers at this point due to the fact of the pandemic that's been happening. Who knows? But all we can do is wait and see what's going to happen. If he does go to Impact, then I praise him that he finally found a home where he can be at. So I think that's about it. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video, me talking about Slammiversary. What a great time to be a wrestling fan, seeing some familiar faces, talking about Joey Ryan and putting a bit of my experience that it kind of relates to it. But I'm not here to take sides, but there's always two sides in the story in every coin. And hopefully whatever happens to Joey, hopefully he can find peace and gets focused more on his life than his wrestling career at this point. But also, I will keep tabs on No Way Jose, see what he's gonna do. So far, no word yet, but I'll put a pin on that. So I must bid all of you adieu. So goodbye, and have a nice day.